Welcome to Thursday Reviews. Today we will be reviewing a Lacrosse Technology weather station. Okay, how have I not reviewed this yet? I got this for Christmas in 2015, I believe. I was still living at my previous apartment. I've always had a bit of an interest in weather. So, as you see, it has two temperature readings. The blue one over here is the indoor temp and humidity, and the green one over here shows the outdoor temperature. How does it do that? From Wi-Fi. No, just kidding. It's more primitive than that. Here's the outdoor unit. It requires two AA batteries and has a Texas button. No, TX means transmit and RX means receive, for some reason. So anyways, it transmits the outdoor temperature to this unit. It's not super accurate, but honestly, it's not bad either. It almost always reads a few degrees higher than what the weather apps say, but again, it's pretty close. The only time it freaks out is in direct sunlight. The temperature goes over 100 and humidity drops to like 2%. Okay, back to the station itself. You might notice this forecast thing in the middle. It can show quite a few predictions for the weather. In my experience, it predicts about within 12 hours or so. It measures barometric pressure and does not require the outdoor unit to function. The little arrow on top tells you the trend of pressure, rising, falling, or if it points to the right, steady. Indoor and outdoor humidity also follow this. Temperature also shows the trend, but in a slightly different way. It's pretty interesting. How it works is it takes the temperature or humidity reading, and if after 3 hours it's gone up or down by 2 or more degrees or humidity percentages, it changes the trend. That updates every 30 minutes. Also with the forecast, it shows a sun and clouds, only clouds, rain, thunder, and even snow. Although I've only seen the snow on here a small handful of times. If I angle it in the right way, you might be able to see the different pictures. Okay, time for other buttons and features. There are 5 buttons across the top. The big one is sort of your enter key, but it also changes the brightness between the 3 levels. I forgot to mention this earlier, but you can run this from a plug or batteries or both. And my batteries have corroded. If you lose power, it can switch to the battery backup. It takes 3 AA's if you choose to use it. If you use batteries only, it defaults to the dimmest brightness setting, and if you change brightness, it again resets to the dimmest after a delay. To the right of that is the heat index and dew button. It approximates how warm the temperature actually feels due to humidity. It also shows the dew point if you push it again. Honestly, I always forget it has that. It can't be too accurate either because wind can also be a huge factor for heat index's sibling, wind chill. And this weather station does not measure wind. The N2 buttons are up and down, which are used in the menus I'll show shortly, but if you push the up button, it cycles between 3 channels. You can buy additional outdoor stations and set them to the other channels. The transmitter has a switch to select the channel. It even has an option to display all 3 channels in rotation. The down button is something I use a lot. It shows the highest and lowest values since midnight. If by the end of the day you're curious about how warm it got, this will show it. Last thing before the menus, these 2 buttons at the bottom. I always forget about these, but alarm allows you to use this as an alarm clock, and alert? Well, that one's interesting. You can set audible alerts if the temperature or humidity reach certain levels. By default, it shows the maximum and minimum values, so if you're curious how extreme it can measure, here you go. Time for the menu. Hold down the time set button and you can set all of these parameters. This weather station also has automatic daylight savings, which has worked like twice, maybe 3 times, in the 7.5 years I've had it. It also gets an atomic time signal every night, so that the seconds line up with the actual time. There are some other quirks. If you need to reset or troubleshoot connection problems, you can hold the heat and do button to look for a signal. There's more to this as well, but I kinda just feel like I'm becoming the user manual. I'd like to talk about some of the issues I've had with it. Firstly, daylight savings. It never works. It never works. It usually just ignores it, and it almost seems to confuse it. I have had it just do weird things. It'll randomly set the time differently or the date differently. I've even had it set for a completely different year once. The most recent time it did this was in fall 2022 during the daylight savings. It randomly set itself for 2032, and I happened to get a video of it when it did it that morning, so here's that. Also, the outdoor unit sometimes just stops working, or it's unable to read it, and so it'll just show dash dash on screen for the outdoor temperature. If you wait a while, it usually comes back, but luckily the batteries within the outdoor unit last forever. Those particular batteries I've had in there have probably been in there for around 2 years now, and they're really ancient rechargeable AA batteries. So not exactly the highest quality, and sitting out in the elements. So it's pretty amazing. The battery life is good, but sometimes the weather station just stops transmitting the outdoor information. In case you're wondering how far it'll read, here's how far I have it. So it sits on the deck here, and my room is all the way down on the end of the house where my weather station is. I have had issues with it in this location before, but for the most part it does seem to work fine. So if you want to pick this one up, here is the model number that you can look for. Unfortunately, this particular model has since been discontinued. This video is not sponsored, but if you do want one from Lacrosse Technology, after looking through some manuals, I was able to find this one that is still being made today and costs $74. Thank you for watching Thursday Reviews this week. I'll be back next week with something else. Thank you for watching.